Hey guys, welcome back to the DM and Friends. This is our collab series with Eric Tankar and Greyhawk Ragnar, and we're talking about dragons in this episode. And I'm going to be on page 29 of the Monster Manual. This guy right here, and yes, I have a foldable copy. So I'm kind of wondering, last time that your party fought a dragon, this is for DMs. Did you guys roll the sleeping percentage before initiative? Did you check whether they could speak? Did anyone offer it treasure before the sword came out? Did anyone consider subduing it instead of killing it? Well, none of that is optional. Gary Gygax put it all in the Monster Manual, and it's been there since 1977. And most tables, at least this has been my opinion, or in my experience, have never used a single portion of this. So, the modern table has reduced the dragon to a hit point bag with a breath weapon. You find it, you fight it, you kill it, you take its stuff, and that's one encounter with the dragon. Gary built 3 encounters with the dragon, 3 separate systems. All of them are in the Monster Manual dragon section. One for the body, how the creature scales up. One for the mind, what kind of creature it actually is, and one for the table. And that's for the players, how experienced adventurers are actually supposed to approach it. And so we're going to go through all 3 of these. All right? I know it took me a minute to tell you guys what we're going to be doing, but that's what we're going to be doing in this video. So let's talk about the body. System number 1. Before you even name the dragon type, Gary gives you 2 dice to roll. 2 d8s, right? So the first is for the size of the dragon. You roll a d8. A 1 or 2 means small, and that's that's on page 29 of the Monster Manual. Maybe I'll put something up here. But and 1 or 2 means it's small. 3 to 7, it's average. 8 it's a huge dragon, right? And that is going to determine the hit die. How many hit dice the dragon has, right? So the second roll is the age, right? So you're going to roll another d8, and that result corresponds to one of the 8 stages that the dragon will be in, right? So. He says in there the 10 species of dragons have passed through 8 ages in their lives. These growth ages are very young, subadult, young adult, old, very old, and ancient, right? And that the higher that the older the dragon is, the higher their hit points per die they are. So 2 dice, 1 huge ancient red dragon with that has a 9 to 11 hit die at 8 hit points each, right? So that's up to 88 hit points for that particular ancient huge red dragon. The same species is a very young 9 to 11 hit die will have 1 hit point each, maybe 11 hit points total. So it's huge range for dragons, right? You're talking about a span of age, which in dragon years up to 400 plus years, right? So, and here's the mechanic that most DMs I think never use. The breath weapon doesn't do fixed damage. It does damage equal to the dragon's current hit points, not maximum, current. And that's, obviously it's a save for half, right? So that means that an ancient red dragon breeding, at full hit points does up to 88 hit points of damage, right? Save for half. And that same ancient dragon, once it's, beaten up, it can be down to 30 hit points. It still breathes for 30 hit points of damage, right? Every hit point your party lands reduces the next breath weapon that's going to come out of this monster. Fighting a dragon isn't just about killing it. It's about getting enough damage into it fast enough that the breath weapon will do, it won't be a party wipe. So, system number 2 that Gary put into here, and this is a big one, right? And this is the mind. what you know, now here is where you know, the dragon stops just being a stat block and starts becoming an actual creature, an intelligent creature, a formidable creature. You know, every dragon type in the monster manual has 3 percentages right in their stat block, and that is a chance of speaking, chance of magic use, and a chance of being asleep. Those 3 numbers follow a pattern too, you know, and the pattern is the alignment system. You know, white dragon, who's chaotic evil, lowest intelligence of all evil types, speaks 20% of the time, magic use only 5% of the time, sleeping encountered 60% of the time. Crazy, huh? So a red dragon, who's also chaotic evil, but exceptional intelligence, because they have an intelligence rating. Is you know, speaks 75% of the time, and magic use 40, sleeping 20%. So there's kind of this with that, right? Well, let's talk about a gold dragon, right? Now, a gold dragon is lawful good, we know that, right? And genius intelligence, right? Speaks 90% of the time, magic use 100% of the time, sleeping only 10%. And the more evil and stupid the dragon is, right, the less it talks and the more it sleeps, right? And the more good and intelligent, I guess, the more it wants to engage. You know, the white dragon is a territorial animal, right? The gold dragon is a person. Basically, you know, same creature class, completely different encounter. You know, Gary built the alignment system directly into the encounter probabilities. And consider what this means for the gold dragon, you know, specifically. Like, magic use 100% means that every gold dragon you encounter can cast spells. You know, chance of speaking 90%, and that means that almost every one of them, you know, can talk to you. Sleeping only 10% of the time. Well, which means it's never going to be caught off guard. Which the way I play, you know, dragons is they're like a cat. They're never really sleeping, even though it could appear that they're sleeping, right? You know, a gold dragon encounter is a negotiation with a genius level spellcaster in full armor who has 10 to 12 hit dice and 2 different breath weapons, if I'm remembering correctly. You know, Gary wasn't building a boss fight. He was building kind of a faction, you know, if you really want to get crazy with it. So system number 3 that I think is very important about dragons, you know, is the encounter economy, right? So this is the system that nobody really, I think, reads, and it's the one that Gary spent the most on, you know, most page count on. You know, the Monster Manual has a section called Weaknesses of Dragons, and here is, and that's on page 30, and here's what it says. He says, the innate cowardice of dragonkind is shown by the fact that most can be subdued, and there are some that cannot, which you should check that out. Dragons' egotistic nature makes them subject to flattery, and it also makes them more stupid, the more stupid of them prone to attack other powerful creatures whom they view as disputing their, you know, dominating position, right? Greed and are major motivating factors in all but the, you know, the loftiest of dragons. So they are subject to manipulation by a very clever, you know, persons, or, you know, this prospect of actual treasure and the promises of more forthcoming, you know. So bribery, basically, you know, cowardice, subject to flattery, you know, they're able to be manipulated with treasure, right? These aren't flavor lines. They're encounter options. Before you roll initiative, you have tools. Flatter the dragon's ego. Offer it something. Appeal to its greed, right? Gary wasn't describing, you know, like a mindless monster. He was describing a creature you're supposed to, you know, negotiate with. So then there's the sleeping percentage, right? The white dragon sleeps 60% of the time, right? So the black dragon, I think, sleeps 50% of the time. If you scout before you engage, there's a coin flips chance the most dangerous creature in the dungeon is already unconscious, basically. You know, that's design decision. Gary wanted adventurers to scout, not to charge, right? To be intelligent about things. And then the mechanic that closes the argument completely, and this is a crazy one, I probably need to do a whole video on this, but it's Subdual. Subdual damage. You can choose not to kill the dragon. You know, you announce the intent before combat. All damage counts as non-lethal, you know, battering. Each round, you ratio the subdual damage against the dragon's total hit points. That's your percentage chance of subduing it, right? So hit 100% of its hit points of subdual damage, and it's automatically subdued. And the subdued dragon has a market value, 100 to 800 gold pieces per hit point. An ancient red dragon with 88 hit points could sell up to 70,000 gold pieces. Man, that's a lot of XP if you play XP for gold, right? Well, Gary doesn't just allow this. The only step-by-step dragon combat walkthrough in the entire monster manual is a subdual attempt, and you know, on an ancient red dragon, and that's the default. That's what Gary thought experienced adventurers should be doing, you know, when they walk in and they find a dragon asleep on a mountain of treasure. Pretty interesting, huh? That he kind of subtly kind of put that in there. And that's my interpretation of it. So, in closing, you know, there's a lot we could talk about dragons, and I don't want to do a 2-hour video on it. Maybe I'll break it up and kind of go and dive into each individual dragon and talk about dragon encounters and stuff like that. Maybe that's for a future video or series or something. I mean, dragons are part of our name of our game, Dungeons and Dragons, right? Well, you know, the modern table turns the dragon into a boss fight. That's, you know, the easiest thing to do with a big, scary creature, right? Well, walk in, roll initiative, you know, tank the breath and, you know, kill it, right? Well, Gary built something different. He built a creature with a scaling engine tied to 2 die rolls. He built a, you know, a moral, you know, taxonomy where, you know, the encounter possibilities change depending on what kind of creature it is, and he built a complete encounter, you know, economy, sleeping dragon, you know, percentages, flattery rules, subdual mechanics, and a market for a thing once you capture it, right? You know, in the dragon in AD&D isn't a monster; it's an actual system. 3 systems actually, all inside one stat block. All in the monster manual, all in this guy right here. And for those of you guys that can't stand it, yep, I can fold this guy. You know, this you know, Tenkar and Greyhawk Grognard are going to have their own takes on the dragons dropping today. You know, BX angle, Greyhawk Grognard is going to do his own angle. You know, I'll have the links below. Check them out, guys. This is just the tip of the iceberg. What I wanted to do is I wanted to show that the dragon is a lot more than just a stat block. There's a whole group of systems in there that are very interesting and very unique to this monster type. You know, Gary wrote it. We just have to actually run it. All right, you guys, Tenkar's got the BX angle like take today. Greyhawk Ragnar's is covering dragons on however he is. 3 channels, 3 angles, 1 creature, many types of 1 creature. Links in the description. And tell me, you guys, in the comments, have you ever tried to subdue a dragon? Man, I want to hear these stories. I have some crazy stories about parties going against dragons. Or has it always been a boss fight for you guys? You know, I would love to know. All right, you guys, make sure you subscribe, like, And if you're watching this on mobile, hype this video. It really helps. And if you do want to support the DM and Friends YouTube channel, this channel right here, at a different level, you consider becoming a member of the channel. I really, man, it's touches my heart, and thank you guys so much for all the support you guys give me one way or another. But if you want to become a member, you should be able to hit the links down below. All right, you guys. I am DM Angelo. This is the DM and Friends. And take care of each other. And remember, talk to the dragon and maybe you can barter with it. I don't know. All right, you guys. Bye-bye.